Well, good morning, everybody. How are you? Welcome to episode 14 of Red Rebel Media's Small Business Town Hall. I hope you're having a good Friday. I'm having a good Friday. It's a little crazy. There's quite a bit of stuff happening this week. So we're boggling quite a bit, but I wanted to jump on. Last week, we took the week off in silence, and this week we're back on. So let me get this pulled up on the old social media pages so we can chat with you. So if you have any comments, please feel free to comment in. This is going to be a fun show today. We've got all kinds of great things happening. So let me get this going here real quick. Good. So join in, share it with all your friends on your pages. Let's get those organic shares. That's how that happens on social media. Let's not forget, we are a media company first and foremost, and that's kind of what we do. We help small businesses with their social media campaigns and market their businesses in different ways. If you have any questions or thoughts you want to share with me on that, please get a hold of me at michael@redrebelmedia.net, and we can talk marketing all day long if you want. It's going to be we have a lot of good things to offer as a company. So let me know if you are out there struggling with your business's marketing tools. And we'll chat. I'd love to. Lots of good things happening. So, all right, I'm going to invite my guest on. I'm lucky to be married to this woman. She's beautiful. She's wonderful. And she's crushing it at what she does. She's the GM of KZUM radio station here in Lincoln, Nebraska. And we are, as a family, blessed with that. And it's awesome. The history therein. It's, I mean, if you don't know KZUM, you don't know Lincoln. KZUM is the heartbeat of Lincoln. And so many different ties with so many different people and businesses. So 89.3 on your FM dial. Here she is. Let's add her to the stream. Hi, honey.
Wow.
Was that too much?
No, I mean, I like it.
Was that too milky?
No, it was nice. Thank you. Thanks, guys.
Well, thanks for doing the show this morning. You know, I don't want to overlook KZUM. You guys have been doing so much stuff in the midst of this pandemic, and I mean, you and I have been sharing a life together at home, and it's, personally, we've had a lot of balls in the air as well. So I think this will be a really fun show to not only talk about what KZUM's doing and how they've changed their get up, especially through a donation period. So it's like that's pretty interesting to hear. I'd like to hear about that. Also, we'll talk a little bit about our band, the Bottle Tops. We got all kinds of crazy stuff. So you and I are going to stream live twice today. We're going to do this morning, and then we're going to head over to the Lead Center tonight. And on the Lead Center stage, we're going to do a stream from the Lead Center. So
I don't think the internet can handle that much of the Semrad.
I know. I thought you were going to say I didn't know about that.
Well, honestly, to be honest with you, that's been quite the challenge for the both of us. I think is just regulating our schedules. Everything is popping up, and I think that both you and I make ourselves available to the community and to the people that we work with, basically 24/7. And so, keeping our eyes constantly on our Google calendars and just trying to keep those communication lines open, even though we're working in the same space a lot of the time. Right now you're up in the attic and I'm downstairs drinking my coffee.
Yeah, we are what they call socially distancing in the house. So we do that quite a bit. No, I'm just kidding. I've been breaking a lot of rules here at the house with the social distancing. So let me get this going.
Ooh. Hey, can
Um,
I ask you really quick what your background is? It looks like a
yeah,
circus
that
slash 80s
oh
breakdance
no,
contest or something. I don't know what's going on behind you.
let's here. I'm gonna take this off so you can see it in its pure beauty. Um, that, my friend, is the poster of Breakin'
I
1.
knew it. I knew it
My
was dancing.
my favorite 80s breakdancing movie. When I was a kid, I used to breakdance quite a bit, as you know,
Mhm.
and I was obsessed with breakdancing, and, I was in a group called, Rap Attack, RAP-A-TAK, started by my cousin in Norfolk, Nebraska, and we used to go around to malls and stuff and dance and, break dance and stuff, and, Electric, Boogaloo Part 2 came out right at the peak of everything, and it was like it just crushed, and everybody remembers Turbo dancing on the ceiling, and, if you don't, check it out. It's you could probably find it online. It's one of the greatest movies in the world.
Break
Um,
Electric Boogaloo is one of the greatest movies in the world. I'm just confirming that that's what you just said.
I'd put it up there with Titanic, with Shawshank Redemption, um, with Revenge of the Nerds, with I mean, all of my top 5s.
Right.
So, I will say that's from Breakin'. That's from Breakin'. It's a good one. So, anyway, I thought I'd have a little fun this morning.
Yeah.
So, please tell me, because I'm curious, I mean, I hear it, but I also wanna hear it this way because I'm sure I'll, miss a few things. So tell me about the KZUM experience when COVID-19 hit.
Well, I wasn't necessarily one of the people who thought it was going to be a big deal. I mean, I was worried about it, obviously, and I tend to take my personal feelings out of something when it comes to running that station. You have to, and
Mhm.
everybody, there's about 100 volunteers there on any given week, including people that are coming in just to do um, various interviews or special projects or whatever. And so one of the things that I immediately thought of was everybody's anxieties centered around this pandemic and what I have to do as a leader to make sure that I'm navigating, or I guess managing, everybody's anxieties. And so getting a
Totally.
plan in place to make sure that we can stay on the air was really important. KZUM provides, besides just awesome music, a really vital service to the community, which is, you know, news and community information at the drop of a dime. And
Mhm.
so making sure that we can stay on air was something that I started working on probably around the end of February. I think the first email that I sent out to our programmers regarding COVID-19 was February 27th. So
Wow.
that was quite a few weeks before anybody really clued into it. Luckily enough, I got to get online really early, order a bunch of supplies like microphone covers, gloves, cleaning supplies, and things like that, hand sanitizer. So when you couldn't find any of those things, we were stocked up. And I was very, very thankful that I got paranoid about it and did that.
Yeah, I remember you were pretty on the ball with that and
Yeah,
kinda cleaning the shelves off. Yeah,
sometimes
that's,
you do something right, it's the small wins.
yeah.
And so coming up with a plan, to make sure that the staff, there's 4 staff members, including myself, coming up with a plan to make sure that people could work from home if they chose to. Our offices are all very much separated. We all have our own offices, but again, that just navigating and managing people's anxieties. You don't want somebody who is, completely worried to even go outside coming into the office every day because chances are they're not going to be able to focus and do their jobs. And there were
Mhm.
so many other things wrapped up into that as well. So we weren't really sure if we were going to be able to stay on air or if the town was going to completely shut down when things hit. So, we actually worked with with law enforcement, local law enforcement, and with Homeland Security to get permission to come to the studio or to go to our transmitter should something go down, because we run government required tests the emergency broadcast system test, so that had to be done.
Sure.
And we also, our program director, Patrick Monahan, did a great job of pulling just hours and hours and hours of content. So on the off chance we had to go to full automated programming,
Right.
do that from home.
Wow.
So there's a lot that went into that first couple of weeks, just like thinking of all these doomsday scenarios, like,
Just panic. Yeah.
you know, and we did a really good job of not panicking, which I think is really important.
For sure.
From there, just communicating with everybody and letting them know how to come in and do their program. When you get there, wash your hands, use the safety equipment, make sure you're wiping everything down before you leave. And that was just the operational aspect of what we do.
And just so everybody knows out there, you have, what did you say earlier, 100 volunteers that come and go, and so they all use the same facility, they all use the same station, the same board, the microphones, and and so that, just navigating that must have been insane to try to get everybody to follow the same guidelines of cleanliness, make sure they come in clean, make sure they leave clean.
Right.
So
And
it's
one of the things that was funny and not so funny was, we told people if they don't want to come in and do their volunteer hours, they don't have to. We can, here's how you can do your program from home. Here, we can put something in the meantime. No worries. And we have a lot of older folks that we're lucky to have that are on air. And most of the older folks just were like, man, I'm still coming in. I'm fine.
wow.
So then it was a lot of responsibility from the people who might not have been in that group of people who were more, if they had some sort of respiratory illness, it wouldn't have sent them to the hospital. So we had some people who, work at quick shops or work in restaurants or work at banks. And a lot of those volunteers chose not to come in voluntarily because if they were to get something in the community, the chances of infecting everybody else was pretty high. So huge thanks to these people, because doing their show on KZUM is an immense privilege for all of us. I'm a volunteer myself, and that's a huge responsibility that we all take. And so I'm really thankful to the people who chose to just kind of step aside and for the health and safety of everybody.
Yeah, that's a big responsibility and a huge sacrifice to give up your show for something like that.
Right.
So, because what amazes me about KZUM is how close and important the shows are to the individual. A lot of them have been doing it for 10 plus years, and it's like it's their thing.
Well, we have
they've
absolutely. I mean, we have one volunteer who's been there since the beginning for 42 years. We have a couple volunteers who have been there for over 3 decades. It's a weekly commitment, and it becomes part of your identity. Absolutely.
It's unreal.
Yeah.
It's unreal. Just doing this thing every week has been incredible. Just I mean, I used to, having a once a month show is tough enough. It just feels like it's just there all the time and you're constantly doing it. But weekly, it just becomes routine almost. That's just part of your life. But it's unbelievable how dedicated some of these staff people are, or some of the volunteers are, rather. So with some of the people staying home, how did programming change? Did some of the people alter the way they get it to you? Did some people do radio shows from home? How did that work?
Well, we can do some live broadcasts from home if, and the sound quality is not the greatest if you use some of the methods that we have. Nobody's really set up with a microphone and a way to patch into our broadcast system. We have that capability, but not every programmer, obviously.
Right.
And the sound quality. So one thing that we can use is we can use platforms like this and patch the sound from these into the board and essentially broadcast those over the air and on our stream. And the sound quality is not the greatest, but to me, it's authentic. If you're at home and you're doing everything you can to make sure that you can broadcast on air, or even like bringing a guest on air. And they're doing it through a method where you've pretty much patchworked something together so you can actually still talk to the person. People are listening to that, and it's so authentic, even though the sound quality is not the greatest, because you're like, wow, these people are really going the extra mile to make this happen, so I can be a part of this, so I can listen, be a part of this community conversation. And so while some people in the industry might not be that as excited about it as me, that's okay, because I want authentic radio. I want authenticity. That's, for me, one of my number ones is making sure that the content that we're putting out there is definitely meeting the community where it is. So,
yeah, that's pretty amazing. I think just, offering the voice, and that's what you guys do. And I think there's a lot of programmers with quite a bit to say. I will say the station started with the political angle. Would you not agree with me, or would you agree with me on that?
So in 1972 was when Ron Kurtenbach, a lot of people might remember him from a cable access show that he had. Ron Kurtenbach, I believe it was 72, it may have been 73, where he applied for the FCC license. And getting an FCC license is a pretty long, drawn-out process. So KZUM didn't actually go on air until 1978, February 14th. And
wow.
Yeah. And there's a lot of radio stations that popped up during that time period, or licenses that were applied for during that time period. It was a direct response to the Vietnam War and counterculture, and wanting to protest, and wanting to make sure there was a platform for people to talk about alternative ideas. And so there's definitely like a lot of that feeling just ingrained in the fabric of what KZUM is.
Sure.
And I love that aspect of it. We have a media platform that's unlike any other in the community, in that we can do whatever we want, as long as it doesn't violate FCC regulations. We can
and that's the big caveat there. I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe back in those days you could probably get away with a lot more than you could now.
Yeah, I'm sure. The FCC has always been, really, really staunch in its regulations. They're ever changing, and so that's something that we have to constantly check up on. We're getting, tons of emails, but there's different organizations that we work with to make sure, and they help us make sure that we know we're on the right track. There's the Broadcasting Association, there's the National Broadcasting Association, there's the National Federation for Community Broadcasters, and of course the Corporation for Public Broadcasting. All of those entities help us make sure that we are not, violating anything, and we're hip to all of the new stuff that happens in the
Sure. And you've been in talks with some of those folks on the national level, right?
Oh yeah. So that's actually one of the things about this whole pandemic that's been really, really helpful, is just being in communication with the industry on a national scale.
Right.
National Federation of Community Broadcasters, the NFCB, they have been immensely helpful for just connecting other station managers, other program directors with each other, because like I said, we can all pretty much do what works for our station, what works for our community, and what might not work for our community might work for another one. And so we have weekly web meetings where we just invite, 20, 30 people on, and we all just kind of talk about how things work or how things are going.
Yeah. Well, that's really huge. That's huge for KZUM, because you're talking about 20 or 30 radio stations nationally.
Yeah.
And they've chose KZUM, or you've chose them. I'm not sure who chose who, but they've been in contact with you and communicating with you on a national level. And from what I hear, are using some of your tactics as a model, which I think is huge. I think And you know, and that's like a support group. I can't imagine, you know, being in that position of not panicking, and you didn't panic, but at the same time, I mean, I know others did.
Mm.
Um,
It's hard not to.
right. And so having that national support group was probably extremely beneficial.
Yeah,
That's
absolutely.
yeah, that's cool.
Absolutely. So,
Wow.
one thing that I'm really, really proud of when it comes to our response to COVID-19 in particular, you know, like I said, KZUM is not like any other broadcast entity in this city, even the state, really. We don't have a corporate entity that's telling us what we have to broadcast. And so we have the ability to really pivot our programming to fit the needs of our community. So one of the first things that we did when people started to shut their doors was reach out to a lot of our community partners, the people who do things like the Matt Talbot Kitchen or the Friendship Home or you know, Center for People in Need, and find out how they are switching around what they do, what their services are to the community to still make their resources available. And
Mhm.
we ran, I mean, we collected, I mean, at least over 20, 25 public service announcements for organizations that were doing things to keep the community moving forward during this time.
Right.
And, you know, no charge at all. It was a service that we were able to provide. And we were able to really make sure that people were still getting the resources that they needed. You know, we ran a PSA about if you lost your job because of COVID-19, here's how you can get a hold of people to get healthcare insurance, you know, stuff like that, that people really needed to hear. And we ran PSAs in Spanish and in Vietnamese, and had a lot of Facebook and Instagram posts, Twitter, things like that, because that's what we're here for. Over 50,
Mhm.
over 50% of our cash budget revenue comes from right here in Lincoln. And so
Wow.
if the community invests that much in us, then, you know, when we are called to do something for them, we
Right.
absolutely have to do it, you know?
So let's talk about this just for a second, because this has been something that's come up in my life quite a bit. Well, first and foremost, I run a record label called Sower Records, and we're in the midst of putting out an album for Jack Hotel. And at that same time, you know, we're kind of asking for money for that. He did a can you know, he did a social booster campaign, and it's and then I decided to put out one of our records, you know, thing we did down in Memphis at Sun Studios, and there's a weird hesitation that says, okay, we're in the middle of a pandemic. Do we ask for money? Like,
Right.
you know, but really what it became for us is that, you know, we're asking for money, but we're going to give it back to the community
Mhm.
and to a collection fund for some different music venues in need.
Right.
So, you know, we tried to put an angle on, but tell me about doing a fund drive right in the middle of a pandemic. Like, what
Right.
was your mindset there?
Well, nobody likes asking for money in the middle of a pandemic when nobody has any.
Well, that's just it.
I mean,
It's
it was it was definitely a point of stress and something that we were grappling to wrap our heads around. We wanted to make sure that we were respectful in that ask. You know, KZUM, like I said, 50% of our revenue comes from right here in the community. And when your community is
mhm,
struggling, you're going to struggle too. So, you know, KZUM's tightened its belt quite a bit over the last couple months. You know, we've had a clock breakdown in our station or in our studio, and we're not buying a new one until we are absolutely sure we're out of the woods. You know, just little things to make sure that those funds add up.
and and, you know, from what I saw, usually during a fund drive, KZUM is very vocal, not
Yeah.
only on social media, but they're visually vocal with graphics on social media and the website. They're all over the radio asking for money. I didn't hear hardly any of that,
Well, we made
but
sure that what we did was really toned down. We wanted to take the need factor out of it because we're not the only people that needed money. So what we just really tried to do was communicate value. and communicate what KZUM does for the community and what we can do the community for funds, because if we have the funds, because what it boils down to is there was a lot of people who were looking to give money. A lot of people got their refund checks or their checks from the government. And maybe some people didn't need it. And so we're looking to pay it forward. And if you can communicate value in a way that clicks in somebody's brain that it's important to them what you're doing, then they're going to choose to support you.
Sure.
You know? And so that's what we focused on. If you look at our Facebook page or our Instagram, we had some really great media pieces that C. Balta did for us. Here in Lincoln, but moved to Minneapolis. But we still hit him up all the time to do graphics for us because we love working with him. But he did a great piece for us for our Give to Lincoln campaign. We were involved with Give to Lincoln, done by the Lincoln Community Foundation. And that's the website. All the stuff that's on all of our fund drive stuff is not probably on there anymore, except for there's our t-shirt.
I love the t-shirt though. It's
great. My God. Shirts 101. Okay, here is a community partner. Shirts 101 did a trade with us. And we do a lot of trade for media sponsorships with businesses around town. That's how we get a lot of our, just different. There's a piece that's seated that Lincoln Drive. We do a lot of media trade sponsorships, and Shirts 101 came in to sponsor Stransky, and we're giving us all of the t-shirts for our fund drives. Well, we had to cancel Stransky, but they still wanted to honor the partnership. So I don't know. They're just one of the best partners that we have, and they do really, really, really great work.
What I loved about Shirts 101, they teamed up and asked businesses to send in logos. Specifically bands to send in logos, and I think they did that with businesses too. I know they did a ton of printing for Zubar stuff, like face masks for Zubar and other organizations. But what they did is they would ask for band logos so they could print band shirts for people, and then a portion of the proceeds would go back to a large portion would go back to the bands, and then I think they would keep the cost of the shirt or something. I don't know how it worked out exactly, but it was such a cool idea.
Relentless did that too. There's a lot of businesses around that just really pulled out all the stops to make sure that people had a way to still market themselves. And we did that at KZUM too. There's that Spaceman t-shirt that they had up there.
Yeah, right there. That's my favorite one.
They did that for KZUM. We did that too in a way where, we had so many local businesses have to alter their hours, alter how they were operating, including all of the music venues that support KZUM. So we took a lot of time to change up the announcements that we run on air. We also didn't kick anybody off for non-payment either. We had a couple underwriters that couldn't pay because of the dramatic decrease in business that they had from shutting their doors. So we just kept it running. They're going to get us back at some point. We just wanted to make sure that even though their doors are shut and their operations are drastically different, they still had a way to market themselves through our radio station. And that's the beauty of what we do is we have the ability to pivot our organization in that way and really meet the community where it is. And so that's been the whole mission. We just keep going back to that, mission of why we're even here. And so you have to always look at that,
So let's address the festival elephant in the room. What's the mindset with Stransky? I'm sure there's a billion people wondering what's going on with that.
So we announced it was like 2 weeks ago, Mike.
No, I'm offering a question. Even this is how it works in the broadcast or in the interview scenario. I know the answer, but I'm setting you up. You knock them down. I'm spoon feeding you, as they say.
Well, thanks.
Tell us about that.
We canceled Stransky, and that was such a hard decision, but it wasn't actually a hard decision. It just made a lot of sense. We
Well,
do a,
yeah.
we do a Thursday concert series every summer, starting the day that school gets out to the week before school gets in or starts up.
Hmm.
And it's in beautiful Stransky Park, which is at 18th and Harrison, right in the middle of town. And it's all local music. It's a super fun experience, and of course, there's no charge to attend. We always have a local food truck, and
Hmm.
every once in a while, we'll have some art projects or some other cool things for the kids. We were really excited because this year we were working with an organization to do they were going to do a voter registration push. So it really is, just a really nice community event that happens every Sunday or every Thursday. But like Jazz in June, we knew that it would just not be safe for our organization to sponsor something, even if it was outdoors where you have like up to 1,000 people coming, and that would just, for me, it just felt really irresponsible. So we did cancel Stransky. We are looking at doing a streaming concert series possibly in the fall, just to kind of, bring it
Cool.
back around. I know that there's talk of another wave of the pandemic hitting. We don't know what that's going to look like. So we're taking it slow when it comes to that kind of thing. But
Well, it's been interesting because, as you and I both know, being local performers as well, that a lot of things are opening back up.
right.
A lot of festivals are moving forward with shows. A lot of bars are even having shows. I did a show last week in Waterloo, and it was packed. I mean, it was uncomfortably packed.
Yeah.
There was no guidelines followed. There was, and here we are seeing shows completely open back up as if there was nothing that happened, and there's a lot of deniers out there, but people have died, and there's still a risk of being sick.
Right.
Um, so I'm on the fence. I mean, I miss it so much. I want the clubs to make money. I want to play music again and possibly make money. I want to, I miss it. So, and I miss festivals. I mean, I put on festivals. I love being outside watching music.
Mhm.
So it's such a weird thing.
Yeah.
And social media has become this like breeding ground of hate and arguing, and it's just so detrimental to the community.
Yeah. I
And
know.
I fall victim to it once in a while too, because I just get frustrated. So,
It's hard. It's hard. I mean, I have an extra incentive to not go crazy on social media because of my job. There's a
mhm,
realistic standard where you don't have an opinion, or you don't at least like put your opinion all over social media when it comes to political issues, which is
mhm,
really hard for me to do a lot of the time. But at that same time, I think it's important for us as humans to be informed, but it's also important for us to take those breaks, take those mental breaks and just refuel. And in
mhm.
everyday life, that's what music and concerts and going out and going to the zoo bar and blowing steam at an FAC, that's what purpose a lot of that serves.
Mhm. Yeah.
And even hugging somebody, I miss that. I miss hugging all of my friends and, all the people that I work with, and, just people that I see out and about. There's not a lot of chances for us to refuel our tank. And I think that that's why social media has been super staticky lately. I mean, there's a lot of stuff happening in the community, obviously, but I don't know. There's not really a whole lot of
Yeah.
ways for us to go.
Well, so as a wife, and close friend,
Yeah.
I know you think I'm crazy for half the stuff I do. So I wanted to mention this real quick and show the people what's going down. Oh, that's not what I wanted. No, let me get back. Oh, that is nice. I'm bigger than you. I'm more important than you. No, that's not what I wanted. Hold on. No, this is what I wanted. So
Oh,
this is called Music on the Move. The lead singer and I teamed up, and we're bringing musicians. Check this out just for a second. Wait.
Orion.
Isn't that awesome?
Mhm.
Isn't that great? So here, I'm just gonna let it play. You can watch him stroll off in the distance. But
I
this is a concert series that's happening right now. Well, not currently today, but it's going to be on Saturdays, um, and it's coming through a neighborhood near you. So get on to leadcenter.org/music on the move, and you can see the map. We're going this time around. We're going to East Campus, East Ridge, Williamsburg, Northern Lights, Near South, and Indian Village. And the Bottle Tops are playing on the July 11th date, which is going to be really fun.
think that's just you playing.
I think, yeah, I don't know. I don't think you're playing that. It's going to be me and Mike McCracken on that one. That'll be fun though.
Really good.
But yeah. So I just wanted to mention that. I thought, why not? I was gonna possibly have William Steffen on, and I still might have him on one of these weeks to talk about it. But teaming up with them has been really cool.
Mhm.
And so we're making these efforts to bring music to people, while at the same time kind of being responsible, because let's be honest, there's a lot of questions out there that are kind of unanswered, and I'm a little freaked out still. I know some other people are as well, and to jump back into it like it was just a hoax is, I think, completely irresponsible. But that's just me. It's a wacky thing. I have a lot of people that are older and at risk that I love, and I still like seeing once in a while.
Mhm.
I just don't want to put them at risk, but
Well, that's
so
that managing other people's anxieties. Like, there's
mhm,
places where you can do it, there's places where you don't have to do it, and if
right,
you can you just have to do your part wherever you are,
right.
but you can't control what other people are doing, but you can choose to not participate. So that's
Yeah,
kind
and that's the mentality. It's like, well, if you don't like it, stay home. Well,
yeah,
it's yeah, but it kinda goes deeper than that. I
yeah,
think it's like kinda wearing it's like the mentality of wearing a mask. It's like, be
mhm,
responsible not only for yourself, but you're being responsible for other people.
right.
And so
Yeah,
it's something that needs to happen, and I just wish there was more answers, definitive facts. I wish there was more definitive facts,
mhm.
and that's the thing. So
Well, it's confusing
anyway,
because it's confusing too because the governor, yesterday said that businesses could possibly not get their federal aid if they're requiring people to wear masks while they're in there. And
unreal.
actually, but then too, the Department of Health and Human Services and the state of Nebraska require for restaurants to be open that anybody who's serving food or serving people wear masks. So it's kind of the opposite
Mhm.
of what. But I could be wrong about what that requirement is now. The fact of the matter
Mhm.
is there's so many different requirements and so many new
Right.
developments coming out. It's
It's
hard for
always
business
yeah,
to
it's
follow.
always
Yeah.
changing daily, so
Yeah.
it's a wacky thing. So, well, this has been fun. I know there's probably a ton we could talk about. Did we leave out any big things that you wanted to talk about today?
I do want to just say that I appreciate everybody in the community who made a donation to any nonprofit
Mhm.
during Give to Lincoln Day.
Oh, that was huge. Yeah.
Give to Lincoln Day made $7 million.
Holy
Last year
Moses.
they made $5.5 million
Wow.
for
It
nonprofits.
1.5 more $1 million. Jeez.
Yeah, and
Wow.
the the thing is that there's a lot of nonprofits that are being left out of the federal aid, and there are some things for nonprofits, but I don't know. Nonprofits here in Lincoln are amazing. They do so much great work to keep everybody in the community moving forward. There's nonprofits that you don't even know about that are just intensely working all the time.
Mhm.
And Lincoln really showed up for them. It was incredibly emotional. KZUM made almost $50,000 when all was said and done.
Wow.
Last year at this time,
Wow.
last year at this time, we made um, what was it? Not even 40.
Wow. Wow. That's
So
amazing.
that's a tremendous help to us. Like we're all completely floored. And I know
Mhm.
there's a lot of other people in the nonprofit sector who just cannot wrap their brains around how giving this community is. And so that's just what I want to say is thanks. It's awesome.
That's great.
Yeah.
Real quick, I just want to mention um, the Black Lives Matter movement, and how you're what are you doing there? There's some positive things happening there.
Yeah, it's everybody has something to say about this. I
Mhm.
um and at risk of getting into any kind of like a political conversation, which I don't want to do, um, I'm not a very passive person. I'm a very action oriented person. But like I said, because I have to hold up some sort of journalistic integrity, I
Mhm.
can't
Mhm.
participate in a lot of ways that other people do.
Yeah.
And one way that our organization, though, can directly respond, and this is outside of any kind of like sweeping comment about racism in our community, or that our organization would put out, like a lot of great businesses around town have been weighing in on it. KZUM has an opportunity to do something that's more profound than that.
Mhm.
We have identified spots on our regular broadcast schedule.
Yeah.
We have we have like unlimited amount of time via podcast, and we can really do a lot to make sure that this conversation, once all of the regular media entities kind of fade away because the breaking news isn't
Mhm. Right.
there,
And
the
that's
work is happening.
huge.
The work
Yeah.
is happening, and
Right.
KZM can be a sounding board for that work that keeps
Right.
happening in the community, to keep people informed that this isn't something that just went away. And so
Yeah.
that's what we're really focusing on right now, is just making sure that we provide the infrastructure and the media platform to these voices to get out there and inform and make people aware of what's happening in our community to move that conversation forward. Um,
Right.
you don't want to see anybody in your community floundering, and I think that a lot of this caught people off guard. But there's been work that's been done on it for several years,
Mhm.
And, so that's where we're coming from. Just
That's
making
great.
sure that we can put that out there. But
Continuing the voice.
mhm.
Right. That's
There is that.
awesome.
Yeah, it it's the only option in my mind.
Mhm.
There's the Malone Center has their first committee hearing next Thursday, I believe, regarding holding law enforcement accountable and what action they're going to take. You can visit the Malone Center page to find out where that's at, but I encourage everybody to be a part of it. At least find the notes at the end and read about it. If you're
Mhm.
anybody who's out there who's protesting, be a part of that conversation that happens after the protesting is over, because your voices
Right.
are going to be needed at that point too. So
Right. Right.
yeah.
Well, it's an interesting discussion, even in my family. My sister's LPD, so it's very
Mhm.
it's been touchy, and it's been good. It's communication is good,
Yeah.
and yeah, there's going to be tempers flare. There's going to be comments thrown, but at the end of the day, hopefully we can all come together with one message we agree on, and that's just that we love
Mhm.
each other and keep loving each other.
Yeah.
Um, um, so yeah, I appreciate you answering that. I know it's kind of uncomfortable, but you're also doing some great stuff, and I wanted people to know about it. Um, so anyway, all right, honey. Well, you're the best. I love you, and I don't know what else do we have. Oh, let's say there should be a really cheesy video on social media today with us on our porch promoting the show tonight. But we're going to be on the Lead Center stage tonight at 7:30 p.m. Central Time.
I
So
don't even know what I'm gonna wear yet.
um, I'm not wearing anything. So I already told him that. I said, "Look, this is what you're getting into." No, I'm just kidding. So
At least drag out that flesh toned bodysuit that you have, Mike.
yeah,
Smooth it out.
right, right. Yeah, it's a flesh tone bodysuit with a printed mustache across the chest. It's gonna be perfect. So no, so anyway, tune in 7:30. Yeah. It's gonna be on the Lead Center Facebook page, and also I believe on their website, leadcenter.org. So check that out. We're so excited. I mean, this is great. The lead
Yeah,
center
I'm excited about
wants to
it.
team up and do stuff. I've always loved the lead center. I've worked on the lead center stage before, like way back in college when we did some fun
Carol.
stuff. So yeah,
Yeah, wasn't Christmas Carol on the lead center stage?
I think so. I'm pretty sure it
What a lot of
was.
people don't know is that Mike and I both went to school for theater at
Mhm.
UNL, and that's where we
Mhm.
met.
Yeah, that's crazy. I studied acting and directing and producing, and that's kind of what I'm doing now. I'm doing all kinds of wacky stuff in a weird, twisted way. I'm kind of doing it exactly what I intended I would do. So that's great.
I have no
But
idea
we're
what's where I'm at.
we're lucky to pull that off. But
Yep.
you're doing some great stuff too, honey. So
Thank you.
anyhow, well, check out kzum.org. If you're in a position to make a donation to that station, keep it alive. Obviously, they're not going to say no to that. And the continuing voice of the community is rising. I just love it. I love what you're doing. So keep it up.
Thanks for all the support you give me too. I know that after maybe 2 glasses of wine, I start talking about community media, and then we're in it for like 2 hours, and then you're like,
Oh yeah, some pretty wild conversations. Oh no, I love it. I love it. I love it. Let's see. Does anybody comment? Mark Turner says, "Go Kerry, best thing they're having a KZ." Oh, that's
"Oh, that's
too
so nice.
sweet.
Thank
I sure miss hanging out. That's all. That's Mark Turner in the house there. Lucky. um, Shirts 101. How cool are they? I didn't know this. Oh well, Christy, now you do. Check out Shirts 101. They do some really cool community projects.
Yeah,
Of course, Pinky said Dad's here. Dad's always tuning in from Fremont. That's Pinky up in Fremont. That's my pops. He's a cool fella.
Graham.
So he's doing some neat stuff with the Hall of Fame these days, the Nebraska Performing Arts Hall of Fame. So check that out too. Lots of stuff going on, folks. We're
Oh,
we're we're doing all kinds of crazy good stuff, but it's all really fun and positive.
yeah.
Thank you so much for being a part of this today. I know it's kind of an odd ask for your wife to be on the talk show, but I don't want to leave you out because even though we are married, we do some really cool stuff, you know, um, outside of the house. So this is
Oh, I know,
fun to
even though we're in the house right now.
yeah, that's okay.
I'm
It's
always
okay.
I'm really appreciative of the fact that you do this, Mike. You always put a lot of effort into making sure that everybody has some promo and, get some work out there and
That's okay. Strength in numbers, y'all. Strength in numbers.
yeah.
Okay, cool. All right, y'all. Well, have a good Friday. Happy Friday, love to everybody. Tune in tonight at 7:30 on the Lead Center pages to see the Bottle Tops perform. Tomorrow night, we're at Folsom Lockdown over at Exotic Customs. That'll be interesting. It's going to be an outdoor show. We're going to be social distanced and do our best to bring some music to people. So it's going to be a busy summer. We're going to try to, you know, still do our thing, but it's going to be different. It's going to be weird. So we're going to do the best we can. But we love you, folks. We'll see you next time. Happy Friday, y'all.
Ah!
Adios.